Good morning, everyone. My name is David Wolf, and I'm going to be presenting Office 365 tips and tricks. I'm a avid user of Office 365, but that doesn't necessarily make me an expert, but I do enjoy learning new ways to do things or shortcuts and ways to make my job easier and save some time. So I'm going to be sharing a lot of material here. I've been told I talk very fast, but I do record. So it will be recorded, and I will provide the handout. So if you miss part of the presentation or something, don't hesitate to ask questions. You can ask as we're going along. I'll have a Q&A at the end, and we'll be doing a live demo as well. Well, let's start and get into the presentation so you can see the first thing. My background, some of you know me, some of you don't. I see that we have a lot of new names and companies that have joined us today, and that's great. I try to do training. We're trying to do them weekly. We have scheduled for next week. We're going to be doing OneNote and OneDrive for business. They kind of work a little bit hand in hand, and we're going to be teaching that next week. So some little overlap, not a lot today, but all I'm saying is I'm letting you know about next week so you can join that as well. I'm co-founder and run Just Solutions. We're a managed service provider, co-managed IT company in Rochester, New York. We have customers actually all over the country now. We got into building computers when we purchased Toyota Computers back in 2015, and we got into phone systems before we got to Astro Networks, but when we picked up Astro Networks in 2017, that made us a Panasonic partner. So we do, and we have a Xerox division, so we've been doing Xerox copiers and printers through our Just Document division for over 11 years now. So we have quite a few clients in the area, and we basically work with the unfortunate 1 million, not the Fortune 1000. So that's our clients, our smaller businesses, and I tend to like to do as much training as possible to help our clients get the most out of technology and also help reduce the number of support calls we get, which just makes sense as well. So that's my background. You can read today's agenda. We're going to talk about how to get into Office 365 and some of the options there so people are aware of what they can be doing there. And I'll be demoing it, how to install some settings, passwords, things of that sort. And of course, we're going to do tips and shortcuts and tricks, and I got my fingers crossed on the live demo. I do these live demos, and you never know how things are going to kind of go, but it's always fun. And then we always have time for Q&A. So I try to get through the Prezi, which is you can all get a copy of. Just have to email us, and we'll be happy to share it with you. Okay, the first thing is there's multiple ways to get to Office 365. Some of you may have these bookmarked. But I gave you two of the most popular URLs, office.com and portal.office.com. And a lot of times when you click on one, you end up somewhere else. But this is typically the screen you're going to see where it says pick an account. And if it shows your proper account in there, you can, or you can switch accounts. So you can actually log in differently if you have more than one account. And if you have to go in as another user, you can, or if you have a separate administrative account, you can log in that way. But it'll remember your last account that you used. As you see, it has my name highlighted there. But this is how you can get into Office 365 from any computer, any device, anywhere. It does not have to necessarily be on the machine you're currently on. If you are going to use a public computer, maybe one in a hotel or somewhere it's a library or something that's a public use, you can make sure that you're not saving anything information locally for security purposes. So once you log in, you get a menu similar to this. Now ours is a little bit customized. We added our logo. You can add your company logo as well. It shows my initials over on here on the side. And then it shows a bunch of the applications that I have access to. The And then if you scroll down, which this is just a screenshot, so I can't do it here, but I'll do it during the live demo. If you scroll down, it shows you recently looked at documents and other things, and you can see other options as well. But this is the basic menu you see. You can also get to the menu using the square with the dots in it, the 9 dots. That little is kind of your little symbol to get to the menu. The one above it is Google's version of that for Google's apps. And then the larger one in the black is the Office app. So in this screenshot, I'm actually using Chrome. The good news is Office 365 has done a great job supporting all browsers. It's not one of those things where it seems like it works better with one or the other. I haven't really run into that. I have people that use it in Firefox and Safari or Edge or Chrome. Doesn't seem to be an issue, so I wouldn't really concern yourself there. Whatever your preferred browser is, you can use. So I jump back and forth between Edge and Chrome quite a bit. So this is the main screen. You can pick any of the apps you have here, and these are going to run in a web version of these. So these are not running locally. These will be running in the web. You'll see a choice here called admin. You'll only see that button if you are an admin. If you're not an admin, you won't see that as an option. And then the next thing is you can click on I zoomed in a little bit here, but you can click on the Install Office, and you can now download and install the full app if you're licensed for it. So even if you're not licensed for it, it will install it, just will only give you a trial version. But this is how you can actually go and install the full app on your local machine. And then if you're looking for any of the specialty apps, there's some other install options available for different languages or other apps, such as I think like Skype for Business is separate under the install app options. But that's how you can actually load it. And you're licensed, every user is licensed. If you buy the Office Premium or E3, any of the bundled packages, you're actually allowed to install it onto 5 different devices. You can put it on tablets, phone, your laptop, your desktop, that type of thing. You're licensed to put it on multiple machines. That actually does save you money in the long run. If you buy an OEM copy from when you buy your Dell or an HP and you actually go out and spend $300 on an OEM license, that's technically, the license agreement is only good for one machine. You're not allowed to install it on multiple machines. Some people do, but that's not what they permit you to do. So you technically, with Office 365, get a better deal because you're legally allowed to install it on up to 5 different devices, plus mobile devices and things of that sort, Macintosh. So yes, it does support Apple. One of the smartest things Microsoft did was make Office 365 available on everyone's platform. This is just a screenshot of my phone, Android, but I downloaded all the little apps. The apps are free, the viewers are free for downloading. Again, it uses your current license, but as you can see, they're all available: PowerPoint, Excel, Word, remote desktop client, Skype, Teams, OneNote, they're all there. And then if you are an admin, you can even do password resets and things with the Office 365 admin app you can install. For some of you that haven't been on my previous presentations, you can go to justinc.com and click on the seminars button up top. I have pre-recorded some others, but when we did, for instance, the training on Teams, I talked about how Teams is replacing Skype for Business. So Skype for Business is kind of going away. They're migrating you over to Teams, and we did a training on that. It is an excellent product. It takes just a little bit of getting used to, but our training will help you. If you watch the training, you'll get comfortable with Teams and see the value there, and you probably won't look backwards at Skype at that point. One of the things that we get a lot of calls on is I forgot my username or my password. What is my login to my account? If you move up to the top corner, it will show you when you go over to your name, and I'll demonstrate this, but it will show you your account that you're logged in as. You'll need that to know what your login is when you go to log into on another device, and you also can switch accounts as well. If you need to reset your password, you can go to this link that Microsoft provides as a password reset option. However, your administrator needs to enable that. What I did here was, instead of having one of those really long, crazy URLs, I did a little tiny URL shortcut for admins to make it easy for you to get here. But this little URL that I built for you is available. You can try it out, and it will take you directly to the instructions on how setting up a password reset for an admin. So you'll see in some of my slides, I have user information, and I do touch on some admin information to help some of you that are a little bit more advanced. So if you are the admin, you do have to enable the ability to allow your users to do their own password resets. So that's something to consider. It's always, it can be a time saver if your users are need to reset their password. The key here is teaching your users what a good password is. So if they are going to reset their password, you want them to using a complex password. Hopefully you're forcing that as one of your requirements. But a password phrase is the best. Maybe some lyrics from a song or a poem. Anything that's more of a phrase is better than dictionary words or things, and definitely pets' names and kids' names and all those kinds of things are the worst. So using a passphrase is the best, but if your admin's going to set it up for you, they have to enable it, and then you'll have the ability to go in and use that. The Office 365 in the tiny URL, that is a capital O. That is the letter O, 365-password reset. Tiny URL, if you're not familiar with it, is a public, doesn't cost you anything to build. Google kind of did away with theirs, so I use Tiny URL, and basically I can take the long URL that you get in a link, and I can convert it to this, and I just gave it no name. So that is a letter O, 365. Okay, you also, if you click up on your name, you can go to My Account and you can change and customize your account settings. I'll show this a little bit more. You can look at what your subscriptions cover, what you're included, what app permissions you have. You can look at your devices that you're installed on. So this is, any user can look at their own subscriptions and see what they're licensed for. So say you're trying to do Vizio and you don't see Vizio. Well, Vizio is a separate license. So you don't see it by default, and you can't install it by default. It's not there, but you could have that added. So you can add subscriptions to particular programs from Microsoft individually. It doesn't have to be across the whole company. And this is how you can check and see, hey, what am I licensed for? You also can see that if maybe you have a problem adding to a new device, or you're having a problem syncing with a new device, maybe you are over your limit. So you need to check and see what devices you're on, and you need to switch it, because it shows you can install up to 5 PC or Macs, 5 tablets, and 5 smartphones. That's a heck of a lot of devices. So what I found is I've seen some cases where customers have their old phone still listed, and then they're trying to set up a new phone and they can't. So you need to remove that old device, and you're able to do that as well. And I'll show you My Account, and I'll show you some of those as well when we do the demo. Turning MFA on. What is MFA? MFA is that multi-factor authentication. This little, I should have put it in the box, but on the side here where it has our logo and says David Wolf and says enter code, I'm going to demonstrate that to you. But this is our multi-factor that I turned on, which is it texts me a code to my phone when I try to log into Office 365. Again, for the admins, I gave you a tiny URL to take you to how to set up MFA. Just Solutions is here to assist you, but if you are your own sysadmin and you'd like to do it, here are the directions on how you should enable MFA for your Office users. I highly recommend this. Microsoft is requiring it of partners, and they want all global admins accounts to be multi-factor authenticated. So please make sure you think about turning this on. We're happy to work with you on that as a project and get you all squared away on that. It doesn't take a lot of effort, but security is an inconvenience, and yes, it's going to be a little bit of a pain getting everyone switched over to used to using it and having to have their phone with them. But it is the most secure way to be doing email. And in this day and age of people getting hacked and being tricked and divulging information, MFA is still the best way to protect you from someone getting into your account and masquerading as you. This really helps prevent spear phishing and other things. So I highly recommend turning on MFA. This is what the screen looks like. I'll show you it when we do the demo. And as you can see, I gave you the link for the and that is a capital letter O for you for admins. Going to start talking about some features and tricks and tips that I like. My favorite one is this @mention, and I'll show you how that works. But the @ symbol has a new meaning inside of comments and documents. It has a new meaning inside of Teams. It has meaning inside of Outlook messages, and it's a great way to flag and tag somebody that you've mentioned them, whether it's in a team conversation, whether it's a document you want them to review, maybe you put comment on a document, or you want to flag them inside an Outlook message. And I'll show you how that works. I think it's one of the best little things they added. I think it came out maybe in 2013 or 2016, but I really like using it, and I'm trying to be more and more cognitive of using the @mention. It then will help you with your searching, which is one of the things that we've talked about, or well, I will be talking about, is improving your searches in Outlook and other tools. But the @mention is probably one of my favorite, and that's why I put that first. That's probably my my most used trick that I like. So I'll show you how that works. There are a lot of quick start guides and cheat sheets, and I was really trying to figure out how am I going to go through and show you all these great ways and tips and tricks. Well, what we're going to do right now is hopefully Allison can hear me, and she's going to post a PDF document for you all to download. I think she can put it in the chat, I'm hoping. And that is our tips and tricks. I wrote up, I grabbed 15 of the popular ones. I asked everyone from the company on our help desk to come up with some suggestions and ideas on what tips and tricks they use, questions they get, and we came up with a nice grouping of tips and tricks. So we're going to share that document out and make sure everyone gets a copy of that. So let's see how that works. Okay, so the tips and tricks. Now these links I built for you, again, to make it easier than trying for you to search for them. I built these tiny URLs to get you directly, instead of trying to search and navigate the Microsoft websites, to find you the Office cheat sheets, which are keyboard shortcuts, and their quick start guides. I'll show you these in the live demos so I can show you how to take advantage of them, what they are. But these quick start guides are great. They have them in every module. So there's one for Teams, there's one for Outlook, there's one for Word. Whatever program you're working with, you can print out this nice quick start PDF guide that helps you get oriented with the look and feel of what the system looks like since the complete revision in 2016, which 2019 is still the same look and feel. But it's really awesome, these guides. And then the cheat sheets are really helpful because those are a lot of your keyboard shortcuts, and there's just tons of them. So what we've got for you is those links, and I'll show you those as well, but there are just dozens of little shortcuts and keyboarding strokes that can make your life easier, and I'll demonstrate some of my favorites. Okay. Here's one for that points to all the shortcut programs. Okay, so every program has shortcuts. So instead of trying to come up with all of them for you, this shortcut brings you to all the shortcuts, so you can go in and say, okay, what are the shortcuts I can use in Outlook? What are the shortcuts I can use in Excel? And then you can kind of make your own little remember sheets or cheat sheets that help you get through things easier. But a lot of people aren't aware of the keyboarding shortcuts, and I'd like to show them because they do make things a lot easier, and you'll see more of them. But this one is the granddaddy one. This one takes me to all of the listing of all the shortcuts by module, and I'll show you that as well. Here's my most popular one. All of you deal with searches in Outlook, and wherever you are in Outlook, you can do Control-E, and it'll open up the search screen and let you go in and select and do different kinds of searches. So I will show you this live. And then there's this tiny URL takes you to all the different ways you can narrow down your search by attachments, by subject, by from, to, blind copies, carbon copies. You can search for that kind of thing. This gives you all the rules of how to do ands and ors and some of those searches. We'll take a look at this when we jump onto the live portion here, but I wanted to have this in the Prezi, so if you get the hard copy version of this, you'll still have this links. The nice thing about tinyURL is these links don't die, they're forever links. The link may break on Microsoft's side, but hopefully Microsoft doesn't change or move things around. And in most of the cases, they don't with a lot of these things that I'm showing you. So Outlook searches, my most common one I use is Control-E. I'm in Outlook, I do Control-E, and I can do a search. To speed up your search, it's really important to select a folder, and I'll show you that. That's probably one of the best ways to speed up your searching, is not let it search all the mailboxes. Take a snip. Snipping tool is going through a change. Now it's called Snip and Sketch. They're kind of creeping into the territory of other programs. I use a program called Snagit. It's a third-party app, which I really like, that I have loaded on my machine. But the snipping tool is now available, or is available from a keystroke stroke. So instead of having to go search for it as a program, or I'll show you when I show you my desktop, I'll show you the snip tool I put on my taskbar. Here's the keystroke. Window logo Shift S opens up the snipping tool. What this does is allows you to grab and take a snapshot of anything on your screen, and then you can even highlight and annotate any of the image or the section. So you don't have to do a full screen. You can do a window, you can do a rectangle, you can do a section, you can do a lasso. You can kind of grab different sections, but this is again one of my favorite shortcuts because this is kind of at a Windows level, not even Office 365 level. So you can use this on your Windows desktop to snip and sketch and grab any image off your screen. And this is how I do the pictures here. So this snip and sketch was snipped and sketched. Locking your device. Another quick key shortcut code that is really universal. This is for your Windows. When you walk away from your computer, maybe it's just my orientation towards more security is, yes, your machine might have a 15-minute delay or a half-hour delay where it will lock out your computer. But personally, if you walk away from your computer and you're going to lunch, I think you should just do Windows logo key and the letter L and lock your computer before you walk away from it. So I wanted to show that. Again, it's one of those things that I think people should be very commonly aware with, just like the Control-E for searching in Outlook, the Windows logo key with the L for locking your desktop before you walk away from it. The snipping tool, again, is one of my favorite ones. So I wanted to share those because those are very common, quick tips. And in this day and age, you should not walk away from your computer and leave it unlocked. Office 365 add-ins. I'm going to show you some of these. Some of these cost money, some of them don't. But one of the really nice features in Office 365 is you can have different add-ins. Grammarly is one that I use. I'll show you it. It works inside of my Outlook and my Office, and it makes me look like I know how to spell, and it knows how to fix my grammar. It makes me seem like a smarter guy because I have less typos and grammar or mistakes. So it's one of my favorite tools that I use. And then another one, as you start using some other products like Teams, you can add in tabs, and I'll show you Poly, which is a tool I found for doing surveys, internal surveys. And then Zoom, like we're doing today, you can actually put Zoom inside of Teams, and you can actually launch a Zoom meeting from within inside Teams, which is kind of neat. A note to admins, this is kind of leading into what we call shadow IT. If you're an admin, one of your concerns should be users adding their own utilities to their systems. You might want to think about having an approval process or a policy regarding add-ins and deciding which ones you want to support and which ones you're going to allow. There are hundreds of them out there, and there are probably some that are better or worse than others. And you may run into situations where you put an add-on in, and then that add-in causes issues with that person's Outlook client or something else. So again, these plugins or add-ins are nice, but for admins, they could be a nightmare. So you might want to think about how you want to deal with those. This last slide, one of the last slides here, and then we're going to jump over to live demo, is Office. Unfortunately, Microsoft decided to change the name. I have no idea why. I don't get, there's some marketing person must come up with this, but they're changing the name yet again. So Office 365 is going to be known as Microsoft 365. And I did a little mapping here to show you the name. So if your bills and your subscriptions start coming up with different descriptions, names, you'll notice that they're changing it. So they're literally changing the wording around yet again. God knows why they did this, but as you can see, it looks like they're dropping the word Office and moving it to calling it Microsoft. Can't tell you why, other than I don't know any good explanation for it. If anyone does, share it with me. But I wanted to make you aware of it because this is going to get confusing when you go to order more subscriptions or you get your new bill and your bill says you've got Business Basic. You'll be, well, what's that? Well, that's Business Essentials. So this is the mapping of the names. This was provided to us as a partner, and I thought I would share that, kind of my last little thing here before we jump on the live demo. So now we're going to test my ability to drive my computer here, and we're going to switch over to my machine, and we're going to jump out of the presentation, and we'll come back to Q&A after we're done here. And so your screen will go blank. I'm going to come back and share my desktop. Okay, you should see my screen, my second screen. And that will allow me to keep the rest of this open. Okay, so on my screen, let's go over and let's go to office.com. Takes me to a login, and this is your multi-factor. Now, why did this change to the background? We customize this. This is going to log into our SharePoint site, and so we have a background of the Rochester Bridge. It's sharing went away. Hold on, let me get back there. Thank you. How's that? Can you see the screen, or is it still blank? Raised hand. Is that good? Still blank. All right, let's get back and try this. Okay. All right. So I'm being told you can see my screen now. Is that correct? Hopefully it won't drop. Okay. So this is the multi-factor that we turned on. So it just texted me on my phone, and I'm just going to punch in the code. to get in. And we're at our main screen. And if you look at the top, you'll see the picture, my picture. And if I click on that, it will show me my login name and my Office profile, my account, and then I can sign out. So if I need to switch users, I can sign out here. It will try to remember me and log me in next time. So this is, sometimes you do have to switch out. If you're an admin, you have to switch in and out of your account and the admin account to do some work. It shows the programs here. These are all web versions, so I don't need anything installed to run these programs here. If I look at my account, it shows me personal information, and here's the link to my mobile phone. So I have to link, when you set up the multi-factor, you have to link to your cell phone, and then you should set up an alternate email address, and this is my Roadrunner account. If you don't have an alternate email address, get yourself a free Google account or get yourself a Outlook.com free account. But you should have an alternate email address if you ever get yourself locked out and you need to try to reset yourself and you can't get to this email, you should have an alternate setup. So these are some of the setups you do when you set up your multi-factor. It becomes important you fill these in. A lot of times people don't have these filled in, and that's okay. And then you can fill out the rest of the information if you'd like, as you can see we did. But that's personal information. You can look at your subscription, and you come down and says, okay, here's my unique identifier, and shows you all the different programs I'm licensed for. And you'll see them all in here. And there's quite a few, more than you even know that you're using. So they're all here, but this shows you what you're licensed for and what plan you're on. This says Office 365 E3. We know that name is changing, but that's the current name. At some point, it may change in here as well. Apps and devices, it will show me any devices I have installed, and it says, oh, I've got it installed on a brick. I don't know if I have that brick anymore, so I could clear that one out. I have a laptop, 2 laptops, a desktop. I don't know, I got 5 machines there. Didn't even know it. But you can remove those if they're no longer in use, and unlicense those, and you can basically track your devices as well. As I said earlier, Skype is a separate install. Remember, Microsoft bought Skype, and Skype has a different base code, so it's a separate install. Teams is part of the Office suite now, so Teams will get installed through the Office suite. But here's an example of it, and then if you have it for Android, you can actually send a text to your phone, and whatever your platform is, iOS, Android, Windows, it will send it a text link to your phone to get the app to install it, which is really kind of cool. So this is how you can do some customization. If you come over to Office Profile, this uses Microsoft's Delve platform. It never really took off, and they're kind of demoting it and getting rid of it, but they're just using it for more of a profiling thing. But it shows your usage over time. It tells you people that you connect with a lot. It shows you frequently used documents. It's just a kind of a little bit more information for you. No one else sees this, but this is kind of a little bit all the tracking that's going on behind the scenes about your account. So that's just some of the little things you can do here under the account. Just want to show you that. And I can build an org chart, which I'm going to play around with too. But blogging is what Delve was big for, and I don't think it really ever took off. And you'll see less and less happening with that. You click home, you come back up, and you click on your double dots, and you come back to your app launcher. You click on your Office 365, you're back to your main menu. So you come over your dots, you can click up here, brings you to here. I have admin because I am an admin. You may not have that one. That's fine. So let's open up Outlook. This is going to bring my actual Outlook open, and it will show me messages that are coming in. and it shows me my favorites. How many are using favorites? If you're not, I would add favorites. So you come down here, and if you're in your normal folders and say you are always in your QuickBooks folder, you can right click on your QuickBooks folder and say, hey, let's add that to my favorites. So now it's up at the top. Whenever I come in, I have QuickBooks, and I can move that anywhere I want along here, and I can change its position, and now it's one of my favorite folders. Now, why do you use favorites? It allows you to drag and drop directly to them. So I can take a message from Allison here, and I can move it directly and drop it into Allison's folder. And boom, I moved it and filed it away. So you're also not seeing the full ribbon like you do in the full Office program. If we opened up the full Office program and brought that over, so you can see that. I'll bring that over here. This is what it looks like there. And then Allison's message gets dropped over there. It shows that it's been moved in Allison, because I sit inside my unread mailbox. That's the mailbox I sit in all day long. And as new messages come in, what do I do with them? I file them somewhere. And then once I've read them through tag, I can mark it as read, and it will go away and will be out of my unread box. Just one of the things I do with Outlook that I find popular is using the favorites and building folders. Why are folders important? It's because you can have thousands of items stored in there, and it makes it a lot faster. How many of you still use your deleted and say things are deleted? Don't do that. Use deleted truly as deleted. Here's my suggestion and my favorite tip for your email is, if you want this message, maybe you want to save this message for payroll processing complete. You could just archive it. Boop. Why delete it? Maybe I need to go back and check. Did I really run my payroll? Yeah. Well, instead of looking in my deleted box, now I archived it and I won't lose it. If I have to confirm when I ran payroll, I can go back and look at it. Other ones you come along, you can hit delete. Miley, leave it. Sorry, folks, my dog is playing with her toy. Shh, stop it. Okay. So back to the web version. You'll see how nice and streamlined it is. You have forward and back here when you're in your items. You can click on them, and I don't have a preview window on. You really don't want to have a preview window on. If you're using Outlook here, if you notice, I don't have this view on. If I go to view, I don't want reading pane on. Okay, you don't want reading pane on. You don't want you don't want it turned on anywhere. Reading panes slow your process down. They open the email for you, and you may not really want that. So I would suggest you don't use that. Have you ever got caught in a email thread? The other day, someone sent an email blast. Some sales guy sent out an email blast, and he CC'd everybody. And then someone replied all and said, I'm not interested, take me off your list. And someone else said, reply all, take me off your list. All of a sudden, you got hundreds of people, because this guy did it as a CC and not a blind CC. Everyone's getting these stupid messages saying, remove me from your list. Well, what you can do in something like that is you can actually tell it to ignore the conversation. And that's one of my favorite features too. So in the full desktop version, if you're in it, you literally, let's bring down the whole menu and show you the full, come over here, and you just tell it to ignore the conversation. Now, have you noticed when you change your banner, how the ribbon changes? It will open and collapse. So I showed you archiving. You also have reading, categorizing. All these buttons will change. So as you shrink them, they'll change. Here is add-ons. I added Grammarly. Grammarly will open up and allow me in a message to check the grammar on anything. So I can come in here and look at the grammar. This is one of my favorite plugins, and it says, well, there's no issues found. But it will check your spelling, it will check your typing. If you start a message Grammarly will pop up and help you with it. The choices of the columns here are also something that people sometimes get confused on. You can move these around. You can change the order. You can hide them. If you don't care about size, you can remove the column. You can go into Field Chooser and select new columns. You can move columns in different order. You can change the order of and put the received date before the subject. You can move things around any way you want in your column headings. And then this is for that one folder. So here I am. If I want to do a search, I can do a Control E, and it brings me up the search tool and brings me up to the search window. Notice it says current folder. You want to make sure you're not doing current mailbox, all mailboxes, all items, unless you really have to search all of them, because that's going to really slow things down and impact you. Also, if you are looking in different accounts, maybe you are someone that has multiple accounts. Let's go look at that. We're going to minimize our favorites. And you come over and look and say, look at all Dave's accounts. I have multiple accounts. These are all separate accounts. If I minimize this, you'll get a better feel for it. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus my online archives. I've got all these different mailboxes that I have access to. So if it's search all mailboxes, it's going to search through all of those. That's going to really slow you down a lot. You also, when you're doing the search here, you have under the search option, it gives you all those great little features of what you can search for. So you can do Bob Jones and use your quotes to find out an exact word search. That's an exact match. It does what we call a prefix search. That's something that confuses people. If I tell it to look for Bill, it's going to find anything that says bill, billing, billing statement, whatever. It's not going to see how it's finding that everywhere in the prefix. Okay. So that's what it's searching, and it highlights in yellow what it's finding and how it matched it. Sometimes it's in the subject, sometimes it's in the email address, whatever. If you want to search for a particular person and you want to look for a billing email IT glue, you just select that, and here's your format. So if you want to type it, you can do from billing, and it'll show me all the emails from billing. And there probably won't, depending upon what folder I'm in, if I'm in my unread, it won't find it. If I go to inbox, it might find it. If I go to my current mailbox, it might find it. So I can say I want to find all the email from billing IT glue. It will build the pattern for me, and there it is. So there's the shortcut, and you'll see that in the document that I've given you. So let's go over and look at the documents, the tinyURL. So for instance, here's Office 365 keyboard shortcuts. That's one of the tinyURLs I gave you. And here are the shortcuts for Outlook, shortcuts for Word, Excel, all of them. So here's Outlook, and it comes through and shows you how to use all the different frequent ones. Formatting text, searching. There's your Control E. There's your F3 is also an option. Clearing the results is escape. And again, there's so many of them. Here's how you print, open a print page, setting up flags. That is just the keystrokes just inside of Outlook. That's all of them just there, creating new items, you name it. So it's very extensive. And that's why I wanted you to have these, because you can come up with your own little cheat sheets for those. So you can come over here and you look at the cheat sheets that I found. And here they are. You can view the cheat sheets for all the different modules. And then they have downloadable guides. So now you have the little office guides you can download, and they have them by module. And if you view the PDF, it shows you and explains to you your ribbon and the choices in your inbox and how to have the preview. Personally, I turn off the preview. I think things go faster. I'm not loading graphics and things of that sort. And then it has other options in here as well. But this is the quick guide for Outlook. So you have the links, you'll have all the links for all of these. and you can print these out and save these. They become really helpful and really useful as well. Let's see, got some other questions. I answered earlier. Some people might have missed it, but the Office 365 is the letter O 365 in the tiny URLs. So if you're trying to type those in, that's what you have to use for that. One of the other things that, one of the tips and tricks that we like is in Teams, you can flag someone. So here, you're in a team, you can flip between your teams, you can flip between your activities, you can flip between your files, and you can go to sales team, you can go to a different tab, and you can flag in here the @ symbol, and you can notice it picks up a list of the people, and I can say flag Allison and say she can add a file in here, but now Allison will be alerted. Even if she's not actively on Teams, she'll actually get an email alert that I put that in. So that's how you can use the @ inside of Outlook, or inside of Teams. If you're in Outlook, and let's jump over to, I had Outlook open. We do new message. I can come down to my subject. And it pops in, and I can highlight Allison, and look, it added her to my 2, and it also highlighted her in there. Then that becomes searchable inside your search criteria in Outlook. So you can search for emails specific that mention somebody. It also alerts them that it comes in, and you can do that with anybody you add in your Out, and it'll pop them in, and then it adds them to your messages as well. So it shows people, it also shows their availability. One of the things we learned is if you are having a problem with your Outlook integration, you can turn on and fix your notification. If you're switching from Skype to Teams, you can tell Skype to use your, or Teams to use your Outlook as your, you can tell Teams to be your chat program and your status program for Outlook as well. Also, you can email directly to Teams. This is one of our little cheats that we like as well. You can come in here, you come into Teams, and if I want to email directly to this channel, I can say get the email address for this channel. It gives me the email address, and I copy it, and now in my my email here, I can CC the Bigger Brains channel, and I can say, this is goofy, you know, it's not really special thing, but I just want to kind of show you, and then boom, I send that out. I come back over to Teams, and it will pop in and show up as an email conversation as well in that channel. So it will come over and show up. There it is, there's my email. It got directly into the Teams from Outlook. So every team channel, go back to our Teams training that we did, every team channel has a unique email address, so you can actually post directly to the Teams channel as well, and continue the conversation in there versus having the conversation going back and forth in an email thread. again, just another variation of taking advantage of Teams. So I wanted to show you, I showed you a couple things. I showed you the @ symbol to mention somebody. It alerts them. It also shows you the @ symbol to email directly into Teams, or to alert people on a channel that you posted something. If you post to a channel, you can use the @ symbol and label the channel in there as well. If you're editing a document, or you're working on a document, let's go bring up our let's see. I'm going to jump into our SharePoint library. So like, here's some documents from my, these are PDFs. Let me find a, I want to find a Word document. That's the PowerPoint. Here's the document I was looking for. Okay, so here's this document. One of my favorite features is the Smart Lookup. Smart Lookup is built right in, so you don't have to jump out. Again, this is another little trick. Smart Lookup jumps out and searches for that term on the internet and comes back and tells you what it finds. And it says, oh, so I searched, did a Smart Lookup on OneDrive, and it told me what OneDrive is. So it helps you do spell check or lookups. If you're trying to highlight something, you're not sure about something, maybe a word, you want to do a spell check on a word, you want to look up the definition of something, you want to look up the location of a geographic location of some sort. So you can highlight any word, and you highlight any word and relevant information, and it won't have to open up your browser separately. Just right click on that and say do Smart Lookup, and it goes up and finds an Office 365, and there it comes up and tells you what it is. So that's Smart Lookup. That's one of our favorite ones. OneDrive, this tips and tricks document is the one that you're going to be getting. We have a lot of great ideas in there for you to, a lot of tips and tricks for you to try out. Here's one that someone gave us, which I thought was nice, is if you're in the middle of Outlook and you need to make a note of something, maybe you make a note of something, you can, oh, that's junk mail, but if you're in your inbox, let me open up my favorites. You can hit, let's go back to that document. You can hit Control-Shift-N, and it popped open up on my other screen, but you instantly have another Post-it note. So there's another shortcut that's kind of cool, and now you can type a Post-it note. Some people like the sticky notes; they're kind of neat, and that's how you can pop one in, or make a quick note, or cut and paste something that you want out of a document or out of a letter, and then bring it back into somewhere else. So maybe you've got to grab part information, and you want to grab it out of a document. You could. Let's see here, you know, if I wanted to take something out of here, I could take that note and I could highlight it and copy it, and I can drop it into that Post-it note or whatever. So if you're grabbing a part number, pricing, whatever, information, you can do that with the Post-it note. That's a popular one. I showed the @ symbol. One of the ending the reply forever thing is really telling it to turn off the conversation. If there's a conversation thread, you can tell it to ignore the conversation, and the benefit of ignoring the conversation is you never have to listen to the replies. You turn off getting any more replies from that thread. So that's a nice feature. If it's a conversation thread that's going, you'll have an option up here to turn off the conversation. So you call it ignore. There was a good one the other day, like here, I could tell it to, I bring this one up and I can say, ignore this conversation. I don't want to see any more emails on that thread. I'm done with it. Now I don't have to see everyone else's reply and posting on that thread. Nice feature. We use SharePoint extensively, and what that means is if you go into your files and folder, file manager, you'll see in our case we have SharePoint, we have our OneDrive. As you can see, I also have Dropbox. I have this computer, but you can move documents around and build a file system for your employees that's all saved and stored in the cloud. It's all backed up. You have a terabyte per user, so you have an exorbitant amount of data to save for people, and really makes sharing and syncing easy. So what I see on this screen is the same as what I'll see on my phone, same as I'll see on my tablet, same as I'll see on my laptop. I'd like to open it up for questions and answers. I've shown you a lot of different things, and I have a lot of documents to send out to you. And I hopefully you found some tidbit or some little helpful tool to help you be a little bit more efficient with this. But I'm happy to take any questions. How do you add Grammarly to Outlook? Control Shift N made a new folder because you were probably in the file manager. If you're inside of Outlook, it should have popped open a note, but it might be different in your system. If you run into any particulars, I'll help you. You can take any folder and share it, and you can take any document and share it. There's a share button everywhere now, showing up the program. So right here is a share button in Word. I click share, and I can say who I want to share it with, and I can list all the people in Just Ink that I want to share this to, and then I can give it optional message, or I can send them a link, or I can send it as an attachment via Outlook. But you can share a link to a document here. You also can change the permissions in the file manager. And let me bring up that file manager. If I come over here to documents, if you look down here, you'll see that little people symbol that shows that it's shared with everybody. Here's it's stored on the cloud. Here it's synchronized between my desktop and the cloud, cloud only, desktop and cloud, shared with everyone. I can right click and I can go to the sharing and give access to and say who I want to have access to. I can give it to specific people. But here's the sharing button for the share for everybody, and I can turn around and add other people. Right now, I have it shared with everybody at Just Solutions. That's an internal share for people. So you can do team only. You can do for just other people than just yourself. That's a good question, Andy, about teams, so you can view multiple teams at once. I'll have to play around with that, but I haven't figured that out myself. That's a good one. It seems a little bit annoying sometimes having to jump back and forth between the different ones, and it'd be nice to have them open, but I haven't figured that out. So if you do, share that back with us. So how do you do add-ons? Someone asked, how do you do an add-on? You basically go to Get Add-in, you go to the store, and you can search. See if it finds it here or not. No, it's not going to find it in their store. Well, Grammarly is not there, but when I bought it, it asked me to install it, and that's what I did. And so it added it as an add-on. Let me show you that one that I did do and install directly from here. So I added Poly. So under here, I searched for, and here's Poly that I added, but I could add Poly to a tab. Forms is a free one that Microsoft gives you. Poly was free too, but I found Poly to be had a little bit more capability in terms of setting up a poll, and to sign into my account with Poly. I created the account already because I've been using it. You're not seeing it on my second screen, but it sent me my multi-factor authentication. Maybe you heard my phone beep. Type it in the code. I type the right one in. That'll work a little easier. And now it's loading surveys, and I can create a new survey, and I can tell it to create a survey. And I just added a tab in Teams to create a survey. And it could be and you could put in just kidding. But anyhow, you come through and you can add your surveys here. You can allow audience to add choices. You can have multiple votes. You can put comments in here. You can set the time. You can say it's anonymous or anonymous. And then you can build a little survey. You can add multiple choices, have another one. Anyhow, you get the idea, but that's a little plugin. And now here it is. And you send that out and it posts inside that Teams. So what's your best joke of the day? And people will be alerted it went bold, and they can do that. So now I just created a Poly survey, which is what's your best joke of the day, and hopefully people will put theirs in there. Let's go back. Remember, I'm going to do OneDrive and I'm going to do OneNote next week because they take a lot of time themselves. So I'm may have to break it up in part 1 and part 2. We'll see how it goes, but I'm going to start with OneNote and touch on OneDrive because I've done OneDrive before, and I want to make sure people, if they're going to use OneNote, I want to make sure they're saving it in the right location with their OneDrive. So we're going to be doing that next Friday. So please, you're welcome to join us for that as well. Okay, next, I was going to show you, let's see, someone asked about, does OneDrive replace what we do saving on desktop, document, or computer? Well, synchronizing between, we don't want you saving on your desktop. Actually, we don't feel that's safe. We can synchronize your documents folder on your computer to the cloud, so then it's backed up to the cloud or backed up to your server. But you really shouldn't save things locally. It should be saved to your server. And if you don't have a server, then yes, we want to make sure we're synchronizing your data between your local machine and the OneDrive. The benefit of that, the benefit of saving it in both places is if something gets deleted, we can go to the cloud and get it. because there is a previous version option and a way to get back to the previous document. There also are third-party services to back up your SharePoint or your OneDrive in the cloud as well if you want additional backup. People always ask me, well, does Microsoft back it up? They have a lot of redundancy. They guarantee their uptime. They guarantee from disaster and disaster recovery, but they're only really saving your data for whatever your retention period is configured for. They're not really responsible for your backup. And what is, it's a subtle difference, but if you delete something by mistake, Microsoft says, oh, you want to delete it. It has no idea you did it by mistake. So 30 days later, when you go back and look for that document, it's long gone. You can't say, hey, Microsoft, bring back my document I deleted. That's not what they do. They have the undelete. They have the retention period. Yes, they're going to protect your data, but backups are, and archiving is something that you have to actively configure and set up yourself. Microsoft has backup services. Third-party companies have backup services. Archiving is included. You got to turn it on. You got to enable it. You got to use it. So that's why I showed you earlier, dragging and dropping things into the archive is a great way to save things. So when you do delete and 30 days later they're gone, if you really do need it, you go back, because you get a whole nother 100 gig of storage just for your archive for your mail. You get 50 gig for your with your subscription and your essentials on up, and then you get another 50 gig or 100 gig on your E3 or premium accounts. You get even more storage for your archiving. So I don't delete really, I mean, I delete junk mail, but everything else I keep around for pretty much forever. I can go back and pull out things from 10 years ago, documents and PDFs and things of that sort. Yeah, we'd be happy to work you through team, setting up creating a team. You might want to watch our Teams training that we've done, but we'll be happy to show you how to do that as well. Just trying to touch on some of the other questions. Well, I hope you, I know it's a lot of material, a lot to go through. I try to cover a lot to make the best use of your time. And I hope you found this to be useful for you. Here's my contact information. Please don't hesitate to email or connect with me. We'll be happy to send you out the link to the presentation and any of the document links, as long as our quick tip, our favorite quick tips that are all our techs put together for you. Again, they're on Outlook and Excel and Word. You'll like them, and you may adopt some of those yourselves. So watch your email for those follow-ups. But thank you for joining us today, and please come join us next week for our continuation of learning about Office 365, and we'll be showing you why OneNote is a great tool to be using and adding to your portfolio of things that you learn while we're all dealing with this coronavirus situation. So thank you for joining, and have a great weekend. Stay safe.